Hello, I'm Jez Smith and welcome to idea number 13 from the book Humans Are Not Resources, 50 Great Ideas for Managing a Modern Lean Agile Workforce. And this idea is all about what to look for in a good Lean Agile hire. What sort of people are you looking for? What kind of behaviours and skills and capabilities and so forth? Because I'm not necessarily right in this, other people have other ideas, I'm sure, but I've been hiring people in this space for about 15 years now and have found some things kind of useful to look for as I've gone along, things that are sort of slightly better predicted success than others. And I thought it'd be useful to share them with you now. So the first thing I've noticed, the first thing to look for is a love of failure. And this is potentially counterintuitive to what we normally look for in a hiring process. We normally look for people who've been really, really successful. We want to hire the best people, and if they failed, maybe that's a black mark against them, and we should think about hiring someone else. But Lean and Agile are all about experimentation, and experimentation has within it the idea of failure, the idea that you try something and it just didn't work. And that's fine, that's not a problem, that's new learning to be celebrated, not something to shy away from and punish. So if someone turns up and says, I failed at everything I've ever done, maybe they're not the best person to hire. But if someone turns up and says, I failed and here's what I learned from it and here's how I'm doing stuff better now, that is hugely more exciting to me than somebody who says everything I've ever done has always succeeded and there's been no failure in my career whatsoever. Alongside that, you need that sense of authenticity, that they're bringing their true self to work. Authenticity is really hard to put an exact definition on, I suppose. But it's all about, does this person feel like, do you feel like you're talking to the real person here? Or are you talking to someone who's wearing a suit and is bringing kind of their game face to work and is, this person at work and is someone else outside? Great Lean Agile people I often find are really easy to connect with, really authentic, really open. They're just themselves. They're happy to be themselves because they're not scared of failure. They're not scared of kind of looking stupid. They're just, here to learn and experiment and grow alongside everybody else. And do they have that sense of honesty and openness? If you ask them something, are they going to be honest about it? Because so much of Lean and Agile is about empiricism, is about data, about saying, did this objectively work or not? And if you don't have that honesty and openness, then very often you're moving away from that idea of empiricism and moving much more towards kind of gaming the system and making things look successful when they're not, just so you can get on to the next point in your career, for hiding bad news, for that horrible practice of managing upwards, making senior leaders think everything is great when actually, there's problems there and so forth. Do they have that sense of honesty and openness that they will always be transparent about what they do? Because Lean and Agile really, really need that to exist in order for either of them to work. But not just honesty, we need a sense of humility with it too. Sometimes with too much honesty comes an overconfidence, comes a kind of, I'm just going to say what I think because I am right and this is the case, this is right, this is wrong, etc. You need that sense of humility and a sense of inquisitiveness as well, being a lifelong learner and saying, I don't know everything. In fact, the more I learn, the less I understand. Because the more I realise there's new things out there to learn, the more I realise just how small my knowledge is compared with the vast amount of knowledge out there in the world. So we have that humility in that face of the vastness of knowledge, but that real sense of inquisitiveness and wanting to be a lifelong learner. You can say to them, not just kind of what qualifications have you got, but what did you learn last month? What have you learned in the last week? What did you learn yesterday? A great Lean Agile person will be constantly looking to learn, even if it's a really small thing, constantly looking to learn new things. And also they've got a sense of excitement and positivity in all the face of this. Now I'm not talking about that horrible toxic positivity you get in some organisations where no one's ever allowed to say bad news, no one is ever allowed to say something didn't work. You've always got to be smiling and happy and positive in the workplace. That I think is really, really toxic and dangerous. But they've got a real sense of, a good Lean Agile hire has a real sense of excitement and positivity in the sense of, that didn't work, that's fine. I've learnt something, this is exciting, look how much more there is to know. They're not daunted by not knowing, they're not daunted by the amount of knowledge out there that they still don't understand. They're not daunted by the fact they had an idea and it turned out to be rubbish and now they're going to try something else. They've still got that excitement and positivity to keep learning, keep growing, keep experimenting, keep trying things out. And in amongst all of that, they need a sense of humour. That didn't work, cool, let's laugh about it, no big deal. Let's move on to the next thing. You can have a laugh and a joke and they feel like a genuine human being you can have a genuine conversation with. So those are the things I've noticed for great Lean Agile people that I've hired over the years, the sort of common facets of them, as it were. But how often do we actually look for the opposites of this? How often do our hiring processes make us, look at people who failed and say, well, they failed, we don't want to hire them. We're looking for people who are, take their ideas seriously and drive them forward, even in the face of adversity. They make the tough decisions when no other people make the tough decisions. They put on a professional face at work. Their LinkedIn profile is them in a suit, looking slightly sideways and so forth. And they don't joke around. They don't mess around. They take this seriously because this is serious business. We often look for those sorts of people in the workplace, and yet actually, I think when you're looking for great Lean Agile talent, you're looking often for the opposites of those sorts of people. You're looking for people with excitement, positivity, humour, authenticity, a love of failure, humility, all those sorts of things to say we don't know, but we're going to learn and grow together. And that's really, really exciting. And if we get it wrong, that's fine. Let's have a laugh about it. Let's learn from it. Let's move on to the next thing. We're all human beings here. We're just trying to get through what we're doing. So let's work kind of collectively and openly and collaboratively and honestly. That is much more important than someone who, is a great business leader who drives things forwards and so forth. So what I'd like you to do is just have a think about your current hiring process and say, how much is it actually implicitly or explicitly oriented towards old behaviours? How much is it oriented towards, senior people who drive things forward and take ownership and are professional and serious and always successful and so forth? And how much actually should it be oriented towards the traits I've talked about: humility, authenticity, honesty, inquisitiveness, positivity, excitement, all that sort of stuff in the Agile space. Start to think about, is your hiring process accidentally bringing in old school type people into your organisation or favouring them for promotion, even at the same time as your organisation is trying to move towards more lean and agile ways of working? Because if it is, then all you're really doing with your lean and agile ways of working are creating new processes to follow. You're not really fundamentally going to shift the culture unless you start looking for different types of people that work better in those sorts of cultures and help promote those cultures to other people as well. So I hope that was of interest. If it was, if you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like. That would be lovely. If you've got any thoughts or any comments or any feedback, I would love to hear them. Feel free to leave a comment down below. And if you really enjoyed it, feel free to subscribe to this channel. There are plenty more videos like this coming up.